I have 100% loyalty from Robyn. So, okay, I guess that's like Robyn. Nope, I'm just asking for loyalty.
A sea of anxious faces filled the courtroom as the drama played out, with reporters standing at the back, pencils poised, all waiting to record. What had become one of the most stunning betrayals in reality TV history at the plaintiff's table, Janelle. Brown sat, her hands neatly folded, her face unreadable, though seething beneath the surface. This was the moment when years of hurt, anger, and lying would come to an end at her side. Meri Brown sat rigid, her mouth sealed tightly. It was more than a battle for justice. It was about simply being heard at last. Opposite her, across the defense table, Robyn and Kody Brown sat. Kody had shed his characteristic arrogance. His fingers were tapping nervously on the desktop, and he looked visibly apprehensive. In her usual show of weakness, Robyn sat beside him, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue, but the room wasn't deceived by her charade. The judge, a stern-looking woman in her 60s, banged the room into order. The murmurs stopped at once. She peered over the edge of her spectacles and sorted through a pile of papers. "You may continue your testimony." Mrs. Brown. Janelle took a deep breath before standing up. "Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to like this video. Now let's get into the latest drama." Years of deceit weighed heavily on her, but she wasn't about to back down. Her voice was steady and resolute as she looked directly at the judge. "Kody and Robyn lied to all of us into thinking they had all of our best interests. They handled money and destroyed family trust for years. Today, however, we will provide evidence proving that they lied to both this court and all of us." A quiet hum rippled across the room. Kody shifted uncomfortably in his seat, realizing that the ones who had previously looked up to him as the head of one solid, dedicated family were now gazing at him, condemning him and quietly questioning him. Janelle's tone grew more confident as she faced him squarely. "We were promised that everything was being divided down the middle. That was to be the cornerstone of our family. We built our whole lives on that promise," Janelle told her lawyer, gesturing toward the pile of papers in front of Feen. "But what is the truth in reality, Kody and Robyn? Were living off the family money to create a life for themselves, while the rest of us were barely scraping by with our hands." Firmly clasped in her lap, Meri moved closer to Janelle. Janelle went on, her tone stern. "We trusted Kody, we trusted you. But you've been transferring family money into a personal account the entire time. You said sacrifices needed to be made, that what we were doing wasn't going to cut it, but the reality, you were using that money to purchase a home for Robyn. You were funding a lifestyle that none of us ever experienced." Robyn's fingers gripped her tissue harder, and she breathed slowly and deeply. Kody's jaw clenched, and he sat up more rigidly. "That's not true," he snapped hastily, his voice strained and defensive. Janelle's lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman in a navy suit, stood up and put a folder down on the judge's desk. "These are the financial records, Your Honor," she said, "concrete evidence that money was transferred into an account under the control of only Kody and Robyn Brown." The judge reached for the folder and started going through the pages, reading the incriminating evidence. The only noise in the room was the sound of paper rustling. Kody's face went pale as he glanced over at Robyn, who sat motionless, panting. The judge eventually looked up. "Mr. O. Brown, can you explain this?" Kody shifted uncomfortably in his seat, licking his lips as he stuttered. "This is a misunderstanding. The choices I made were made for the well-being of the family. There were things that needed to be addressed, and Meri's chair screeched noisily across the floor as she jumped up. "No, May," she cut in, her tone hard and laced with intensity. "No, Kody, this was not for the family. This was for Robyn and you. While the rest of us were left in the lurch," Meri went on, her tone calm but laced with rage, "the money you stole from all of us to establish a life with her." There was a stifling silence that weighed heavily on the room. Kody opened his mouth but shut it tight, his hands tightening into white-knuckled fists on the table. When Meri spoke, she broke, speaking.
"There was a time that I was in a very, very dark place, and I needed to get through that. And then I saw..."
"Voice, do you recall telling me that I wouldn't have enough money to purchase my own house? You warned us all to watch what we were spending, to make sacrifices for the common good." She released a caustic laugh, and meanwhile, you were fibbing. Robyn was experiencing a whole different world. At last, Robyn found her voice, but it shook as she spoke. "That's not fair. You're trying to make us sound like we stole from you." Janelle's eyes blazed with fury as she turned on Robyn. "You did steal from us. You stole everything, and so did Kody." The whispers in the room began again, but the judge cut them off with a raised hand. "Order," she instructed, then turned to the attorney for the plaintiff. "Please proceed." Nodding, the attorney held up another document. "Also, Kody is on record admitting that he put Robyn ahead of his other marriages, justifying the money transfer with the words, 'Robyn's needs come first.'" Meri closed her eyes briefly, as if trying to collect herself, even though she had always suspected it. Hearing those words said out loud was an entirely different thing. The judge's expression never changed as she looked at Kody. "Do you deny making this statement, Mr. Brown?" Kody breathed deeply, looking around the room as if for an exit. He had always been good at discovering means of escape from uncomfortable situations. This time, though, there was no way out. Kody leaned back in his chair, saying nothing. The room was heavy with an oppressive quiet. The judge hesitated for a moment, building the tension before she began to speak. "Again, I conclude that Mr. Brown and Mrs. Brown have made a false presentation of facts before this court. From the evidence, it is evident that these financial transactions were fraudulent, and they will pay for it." A shudder of a collective gasp swept through the people. Kody allowed his arms to drop his head. Robyn's mouth was open, but she didn't say a word. "There was nothing to be said," Janelle breathed. Slowly, a feeling of subdued victory washing over her over at the plaintiff's table. Meri looked up at her, their gazes meeting in an unsaid conversation. At last they had prevailed. The truth was revealed, but that was not all. The reality TV star from Sister Wives, who was previously infamous for being part of a polygamous household, Robyn Brown, had surprisingly adopted a more conventional one-man life with Kody Brown. She had morphed into the exact image of traditional marriage. The days of multiple relationships were long gone now. She was the embodiment of tri-life, with her vintage-style purple flower print dress and enjoying her position as a stay-at-home mother in a Grand Laumien. 1 million residents, she and Kody both sported matching David your rings, and her house was full of dolls and kids. Robyn, who had once staunchly defended plural marriage, was now deeply invested in a traditional marriage with Kody. But even through her problems, it appears she wasn't willing to let go. Sometimes things go wrong in paradise. She protested on TV, admitting their problems in spite of her issues with Kody. She seemed determined to make it work in the long run, although she admitted that he would sometimes fight about pointless things. Robyn was now personifying that antiquated idea of the woman who remains faithful, even if it was to take on the suffocating values of a lost age, despite having left behind her former passive aggressive methods, such as informing Kody that she would be disrespected if he married another wife. There was something preeminently the 1950s about her way of life, which some, me included, find oppressive in the face of great social hardships, such as racism and endemic homophobia. Most people were crying out for change. There was conformity demanded by society, so there was a huge shift in ideals and attitudes. Flower power was adopted by hippies.
That I had for Robyn that was significant, and in my mind, I wanted to elevate all my relationships to that point.
Who discarded the leave it to beaver mentality of the day in spite of these changes. There were women who chose to live out the 1950s, achieving their fantasy of being housewives. Of that time, they replaced their appliances, prepared vintage dinner, party fare such as oysters, Rockefeller, and ham jello salad, and maybe even mixed Manhattan cocktails for their husbands, who may look like Don Draper mad. Men premiered in 1960 when society was on the verge of being transformed. Now, although Kody Brown of Sister Wives is not exactly like Don Draper, the lead character on Mad Men, there are some key similarities, particularly when it comes to cheating, but Kody is extremely committed as the patriarch of Sister Wives he may occasionally display. Behavior similar to Draper, but for the most part, Robyn is comfortable with him taking the lead. Don Draper, the fictional copywriter, grew up in an age when women had limited control. Kody did the same as a child raised with patriarchal polygamous ideals. Nevertheless, Kody's devotion to his relationship is evident, illustrated in the above video where Kody openly shows a matching ring next to Robyn's. This linking of the Mad Men character with the reality personality is obvious. It can account for why Kody and ultra-feminine Robyn are so compatible. Even though she dabbled briefly in jewelry making, she appears content in her wife role. Issuing the pressures of a standard 9 to -5 accounts show that when Robyn wed, she owed over $33, zero on credit cards, some of which were for purchases at Victoria's Secret, a firm that fought for decades to expand its definition of beauty. Until it was almost too late, Robyn's life may have looked like one of luxury on the surface, but her financial past is more complicated. While the tri-life lifestyle may have its charm, it definitely has its downsides. Robyn has to work double time to get along with a man who is frequently irritable and resentful in her opinion. He is actually working against their relationship to me, and I think most people would say the same. Tad's wife only works when the man is a decent partner, not a terrible one. A trade-wife might become too reliant on a cruel partner if he begins well but becomes a villain later. Like Kody has. Robyn Brown, however, has to confess that she earns her own income from her appearances on Sister Wives. She's not money dependent on Kody. However, they do fight about how they spend money. Kody likes to save, while Robyn likes to spend more freely to make her life better. Janelle has claimed that during their spiritual union, Kody controlled the finances, and that perhaps even now, Robyn needs his approval to make purchases she desires. If this is still the case, Robyn might sometimes feel too reliant on Kody. She may wish to have more say in their financial decisions, as shown when she expressed her opinions on monogamy. It appears Robyn might not be getting the same amount of satisfaction out of being a trad. She has children, high-end jewelry, a fancy house, and the white picket fence with which one traditionally dreams, but there is something still lacking. Based on without a crystal ball on Instagram, it would lead one to ask why she spent $70, zero on dolls from Etsy, though she may simply be a doll collector. Her shopping habits are anything to go by. She could be filling an emotional gap with her purchases for others. Shopping as a way of coping with tension can result in financial difficulties. It's possible that in trying to make his conservative wife happy, Kody is overspending on her, as suggested by Gwen Brown on her YouTube channel. Robyn really does need a partner who is stable emotionally and able to deal with life's issues without being easily upset. Someone greater than another, pretty face, dressed up in a good suit. Kody is meant to be the man of the house in the tri-life role, but he is not doing a good job, behaving erratically and evidencing existential distress. He is not the cheerful father figure he was. Robyn probably thought that he would be ecstatic to be doing monogamy, but in fact, he isn't. The death of his son Garrison Brown has hit Kody hard, and this pain is obviously getting to him. That level of emotional trauma can change a person's perspective on life and radically change their behavior, although the trade-life lifestyle has its advantages. Robyn may be tired of its disadvantages. Relying entirely on a man can be risky if it doesn't work out. What does a woman have left? Like any relationship, the trade-life lifestyle is a gamble. While it clearly brings happiness to some, it's evident that Robyn is not as content as she once was. There's no right or wrong answer in this situation. It's simply the reality of where she stands. At the same time, Janelle, the industrious member of the family, is making a daring move and opening a new business venture named Tata Farms. She is as ambitious as Peggy Olson from Mad Men, and like Joan Harris, played by Christina Hendricks, Janelle is assertive, outspoken, and making her own way with her new husband, David Woolley Meri, with the sweet naivety of Mad Men's. Trudy Campbell, played by Alison Brie, is starting fresh, a bit more edgy and self-assured. After her self-improvement and the encouragement of a deserving partner, though there are evident similarities between Mad Men and Sister Wives, Robyn and Kody might ultimately conclude that their 1950s-era fantasy can no longer reflect the reality of their circumstances or the Coyote Pass fantasy life they once pictured. Robyn and Kody might manage to work things out perhaps, but if Robyn is really living the Tadwife life or not, either way, they don't appear to be living there happily ever after, amidst the turbulence of Sister Wives season 19 and all the heated arguments that have served to expose the less pleasant sides of their partnership. It might not be far-fetched at all if the producers decided to highlight Robyn Brown. In a proposed season 20, Kody spent 19 seasons showing off his life with 4 wives, and now only he and Robyn remain, along with the specter of former partnerships that appear to dog them both daily. Kody, who estranged 3 wives, said that his devotion to Robyn is what made his former wives and kids turn on him. Yet it could be more complicated than that. For instance, despite the fact that Janelle and Meri Brown remain invested in Coyote Pass, Kody refuses to sell the land to wrap up the case. Both Meri and Janelle desire the land to be sold.
Okay? If another wife wasn't in that space, they still had the opportunity.
But Kody is still in charge and appears reluctant to make firm decisions. Doling over the issue, the drama might become even more charged if the focus were turned to Christine, a far more cheerful and optimistic cast member. Maybe a reorganization of the cast might be in order. As it is, Robyn and Kody appear to be at war with everyone, including themselves. A reality show does require some conflict, obviously, but the problem is that the fights are repetitive. Kody never really takes the blame for anything, and this would indicate that he isn't evolving or maturing. He always plays the victim, particularly around his long-suffering former wives and a few of their children. Alternatively, Robyn Brown has transformed completely. She's never happier than she is today, and if she were to steal the spotlight on Sister Wives season 20, she could infuse the program with a healthy dose of optimism and good vibes by this time. Kody doesn't exactly present himself as a good role model. For audiences, Christine, by contrast, is a breath of fresh air, providing an interesting counterpoint to the dark energy Kody and Robyn introduce. She was brave enough to go out and find happiness, and it's easy to look up to her for this. She shares these incredible experiences with David as well, and they've even diversified their Airbnb venture by subletting a second apartment, their initial sublease situated in Moab, Utah, is stunning, set amidst majestic red cliffs and beautiful hiking trails. Even Stern Pond Brown melts around his mom, showing us the warm, healthy relationships between Christine and her children. Christine's presence has the power to inject new life into Sister Wives, transforming it from a show that sometimes feels stagnant into something fresh and uplifting. She's open about how fear once held her back, reminding us that everyone must face their fears head-on in life. The metaphorical monsters that try to undermine our peace and dreams can be confronted and even overcome. And Christine serves as living proof of this. While Robyn and Kody may still appear on the show, it's likely they won't be featured as prominently. A shift in focus might be beneficial for everyone involved. The show could potentially end if Kody and Robyn continue their endless bickering with the ex-wives, who clearly still harbor resentment. And if there's no solid resolution on the Coyote Pass issue, how much longer can viewers watch the same scenes play out with Christine in charge? Sister Wives could conceptualize love in an entirely new manner, one based on bravery, hope, and adventure. Since Kody is still bitter about the breakup of the Brown family, Christine is clearly the best person to lead. Having had the courage to leave the family in order to seek happiness and fulfillment for herself, Kody, though, does not appear to realize that he was the catalyst there, and perhaps never will. Christine's willingness to sell her share of Coyote Pass for just $10 to close the book on the saga is a testament to her values, to her freedom and happiness were more valuable than money. A program that has been sullied by long-standing messy feuds might be revitalized by a person like who is warm and genuine. I wish Christine would take us along on her magical ride, as she knows how to follow into the light. The drama on television seems stale nowadays, although Kody and Robyn's tension could prove to be the missing ingredient that keeps the show simmering if they sorted themselves out. They could make a welcome return for a possible season 21 with a sense of gratitude. A brief pause for contemplation could provide them with the room to develop, and the entire dynamic would be different. The producers must intervene to make that happen, because the Sister Wives cast right now is stuck in neutral amidst all the drama technology is assisting. Janelle Brown in handling her mental health as she navigates her real estate conflicts with Kody. Since she left Kody and the polygamous Brown family in 2022, Janelle has been residing in North Carolina, attempting to get her new business off the ground. Janelle Brown and her daughter Madison Brown Bush have just made a real estate investment. The season 19 Sister Wives star posted a bold new plan: talk more, argue less. It appears she's preparing for a possible fight over Coyote Pass and is looking to arm herself with useful tools indeed. Janelle recently shared that she's begun using an infrared sauna to relax. After especially stressful weeks, his week has been a lot, and my stress levels have been high, she confessed. The experience of opening a new company, as well as dealing with outstanding issues with Tio. And we all know I've been exploring that path. After especially stressful weeks, headstees, it's calivized as if CBO. As we get expassive with CZ, confictive. I've been walking with Kais. We have a peace all with Cal with what? We have a love with Cods? How I see with Ka Kade you decide get our app by to see with sick can tikikan asika we kaida me get it sakara we can go to say to see you sata we ida be to you ice can you to use in into I kiss to wit guy with you to sag guy defer to you with sick I could you could as to it get I got I thought feels but I tell you if I that's Kody has obviously affected her health. Janelle uploaded a selfie to Instagram sitting in a sauna with red and purple lights, stating how the process resets her with all she's got on her plate, launching a new venture with Maddie, establishing life as a single woman, and continuing to battle Kody and Robyn over her percentage of Coyote Pass. It's not surprising that Janelle is under more pressure than normal. On top of that, Maddie and her new husband Caleb just had a baby girl, further contributing to the family's increasing workload. It's a smart decision for Janelle to recognize that she is stressed and take initiative to control it. Being healthy is paramount. While she undergoes these changes, she's already noticed big health improvements since a detox she undertook at the beginning of the year. Another advantage of the sauna is that it allows her to sleep more soundly, a vital component of her entire self-care practice. Janelle's childhood in a hectic household of 4 women and 14 children has accustomed her to stress now. At the start of this new chapter in her life, she has more time to manage it in healthier manners. Spending time unwinding in the sauna has become a vital part of her constant pursuit of wellness, even though she's improved significantly is something she continues to work on. It's obvious that the constant war with Kody over Coyote Pass is still a source of considerable stress for Janelle having to contend with. Kody has got to be almost impossible for Janelle. If it takes her a half an hour longer in the sauna to psych herself up for her constant war with him, then so be it. Might just be the fight of her life. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates like this. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.